No, this is absolutely going to be a VOD. I'll probably cut it and put it on my YouTube as well, because I totally use that a lot. Okay, sweet. So today we are going to be... Hold on a second. Here we go. Today is going to be a bit of a different stream. Wow, good job talking. We are going to be going over Streamer.Bot, not playing a game, and then we will raid into the birthday girl afterwards. We're going to cover the basics of how to download, how to use Streamer.Bot, set up some basic commands, just to give people an idea of how to get started with the bot. So the motivation behind this is that I've overheard a few people over various Discords and stuff saying that they want to learn how to do Streamer.Bot and just like don't know where to start and stuff. So I figured, you know, I'm not an expert by any means, but I'll share my knowledge of what I have to hopefully get people more comfortable with using it, and then they can just kind of, if I teach you the basics, then you can kind of take off and use the foundational bits there to do whatever you want and, you know, put those building blocks together. What is Streamer.Bot? You probably already know what it is, if we're being honest. It was created by a single guy in Canada, surprisingly enough. Other side of the country from me, but Canada nonetheless. And now it's maintained by him and two other people help him out with various aspects like the website and stuff. It's a pretty versatile bot. It can be used in a lot of applications as long as you know what you're doing. It also connects to various streaming services simultaneously. So you can use it on Twitch, YouTube, Kick, etc. all at the same time if you're multi-streaming. Obviously, we're only going to cover Twitch, but the options are there. And once you learn Twitch, then it's not going to be that hard to branch out into the other services if those are things that you use. It also integrates with various other services like Stream Elements, Streamlabs, Elgato stuff, Voice Mod, Hype Rate if you use heart rate sensors. So you can have things happen on your stream and in your chat and like whatever, even potentially like in real life if you have like smart outlets or smart lights and stuff, based on like your heart rate, for example, or if someone subs or if someone follows. So all of that stuff is possible with Streamer.Bot, and once you know the basics, it's pretty easy to kind of get into that. Cool? Cool. I've structured this in a way that if you really wanted to, you could actually follow along. So I'm going to be going like from like a blank slate. I will be downloading a copy of it from their website. That's how we're going to start, and setting things up from scratch. So if you want to follow along, feel free. And if you just want to sit and back and watch, power to you. Cool. Let's switch over to this. Hello, my desktop. The first thing we're going to have to do is download Streamer.Bot. So open up your web browser, go to literally Streamer.Bot, and you get their website. Just click download now. They have a second one called Speaker.Bot. It's not the same thing. Speaker.Bot is their TTS application, which I don't really have much experience with, so we're not going to touch that today, but it's available. So you click the download button, it'll download it, unsurprisingly. Go to your downloads folder and you will get a zip file. And all you need to... Whoa. Okay, sorry, I have learned something today. Anyway, you get the zip file, extract it somewhere. Maybe don't leave it in your downloads folder, and don't leave it somewhere where you'll accidentally delete it. Because if you delete it, all of your settings, all of your actions, all of that will be gone with it. So I'll just throw it on my desktop, for example, right here. It's that guy. Excellent. Well, we've downloaded Streamer.Bot. There's no installation, no nothing. It's what you call a portable program, so you don't actually need to run an installer. You literally just find the Streamer.Bot program here, and you double click it, and it will open the bot after thinking for a few seconds here. Don't leave it in downloads, 100%. Actually, so ideally you want to put it somewhere safe. What I personally do is I have Google Drive for desktop, so I put it in my Google Drive folder, which has the added bonus of automatically backing it up. So if something messes up or whatever, I can just go through my Google Drive and restore the backup version of it. And also, if I ever wanted to stream elsewhere, like on a laptop or whatever, I literally have it wherever I have internet. I can just get it with all my settings, all my actions, everything. So just a quick pro tip, if you will. Ever since Streamer.Bot 1.0, they've integrated a dark mode. So that's what you see here. You don't get flashbanged every time you open it now. which is quite nice. It did change a lot of stuff from the pre 1.0 release, like they moved everything around. But if you're new to Streamer.Bot, that means nothing to you, and that's okay. Okay. All right. So you have Streamer.Bot, you've downloaded it, you put it somewhere safe, we've opened it for the first time. The first thing we want to do when we open Streamer.Bot for the very first time ever is we actually want to connect it to our Twitch account. We're going to go to platforms, which you can see they have Twitch, YouTube, Trovo, and Kick. We're going to click on Twitch. And then you can do a lot of stuff here, like manage your channel point rewards, polls, predictions. You can do things like save predictions. So if you have a prediction that you run every stream and you're sick of typing in the options every single time, you can actually pre-save it here to use it over and over again without having to reconfigure it every time. Hi, Lala. How you doing? Okay. There's 2 accounts you could potentially connect to Streamer.Bot. So the broadcaster account is your account. It's connected to your Twitch account. That's where it pulls information like new subs, new follows, hype trains, whether an ad's about to start, that kind of thing. It also will use chat as you. Like if you tell it to reply to a chat message, for example, it'll do it as your account. Now, if you want to have a separate account that interacts with chat and stuff, that's what the bot account is for. So for example, in my chat, I have myself, Brofar, and then I have Broneer, which is my bot that responds to all the channel point redeems and stuff. So Brofar is connected to the broadcaster account. Broneer is connected to the bot account. The bot account is optional, but the broadcaster account is mandatory. So we hit login. Oh, it's under my face. Hold on. There we go. We hit login where it says broadcaster account. It'll pop up your browser. Streamer.Bot wants to access your account and do everything. Because really, honestly, that makes sense. If you look at all the permissions, it's actually things, that's all things that Streamer.Bot is able to do and integrate with your stream. So despite the fact that it's a lot of permissions, it makes sense for it to be requesting all these permissions. So scroll all the way down, click authorize, logged in successfully, great. And then you can actually see that my name pops up here. And it says, broadcaster account. It tells you if you're an affiliate or a partner or whatever. And then if you want to, I'm not going to connect my bot account because you have to do it in like a separate browser and you'd have to log out of Twitch and yada, yada, yada. Pain in the ass. But if you wanted to, just hit click login here as well under bot account. And you just log in to your other Twitch account the same way we just logged in with our broadcaster account. But keeping it simple, we're just going to use a broadcaster account for today. Again, this is a beginner's version type situation, right? Cool. So we're logged into the broadcaster account. Easy peasy. The next thing we want to do is connect a couple other things that are going to be important for us to use this bot for. Number one, we're going to connect OBS because Streamer.Bot can also change scenes or make things visible, invisible. It can mute you, it can unmute you, whatever. But in order to do that, it needs to be able to talk to OBS. So if you go into Stream Apps, you'll see OBS Studio, Streamlabs, Meld, Polyplop. We're going to use OBS Studio. It's the one that I'm used to. I don't use Streamlabs Desktop. I don't use OBS.live, but it's OBS.live and OBS are basically the same thing. So click on OBS. You'll get this big empty window. We're just going to right-click anywhere and go Add. So this uses OBS's WebSockets feature, which used to be a separate add-on, but ever since like 10 versions ago, OBS has it built in, so there's not really much you need to do. So we'll have this open, but really quick as an aside, I'll show you my OBS, which is going to show you like an infinite window, but whatever. And you go into Tools, and then WebSocket Server Settings. Make sure Enable is checked, make sure Enable Authentication is checked, Show Connect Info, click yes. Well, you won't have to click yes because you won't be streaming. Copy the password. Cool. Easy? Easy. So we take that password, bam, and we paste it here. Same password. The name, you can just call it whatever you want. The name is purely for your purposes. If you're connecting multiple OBS clients, then you'd want to name them something unique so you know which is which. But for our beginner purposes, we're only connecting one instance of OBS. So we just call it OBS. Version 5.x is fine. This is fine. This just means it's on my own computer. The port, keep it the same. If the port... Well, yeah, just keep it the same. Normally, what you would want to do is you want to match it to this port number here. But if you haven't changed anything on the OBS side, the defaults match. So you don't have to do anything there. Password, you've pasted it in. Make sure you enable these two. Auto connect on startup and reconnect on disconnect. So auto connect on startup means that Streamer.Bot will try to connect to OBS when you open Streamer.Bot, instead of you having to hit connect manually every time you open the bot. Reconnect on disconnect means if for some reason Streamer.Bot and OBS get disconnected, it'll automatically try to reestablish them. So it just makes your life as a streamer easier for not having to troubleshoot technical issues mid-stream. It'll just handle it all on its own. Click OK. You'll see it here, status disconnected. That takes some time to connect. If you're really rushed for whatever reason, I'm sure you can force it to connect by hitting connect down here, and you can see that now it's connected. And you can even see some status information, right? So you can see what scene I'm in, this is the name of my current scene. You can see we're not recording, but we are currently streaming, and these are the sources that I have literally in my OBS here, right? Like it's all reflected here because it uses OBS's API to talk to it and know. So platforms, Twitch, done. Stream apps, OBS, done. Now we're in integrations. This is everything that Streamer.Bot can integrate with. So in our Stream Deck, or we click on Stream Deck, and then we turn it on, and then we hit Start Server. That's all we need to do, on this side at least. On the Stream Deck itself, we need to download the Streamer.Bot plugin so that our Stream Deck can talk to Streamer.Bot. So you click on this little funny icon here with all the colors. It'll bring you to their website. And on their website, you search for Streamer.Bot. And you see it here. Click on it, click Get. And you log in. I've already done this, so I'm not going to do it again. But you log in, and once you log in, it'll pop up your Stream Deck, and you'll just click OK to install it, and then you'll be connected to Streamer.Bot. Easy peasy. Once you do that, you're connected to your Stream Deck. That's all you need to do. That's it for the setup. We're set up. We're ready to go. Streamer.Bot is connected in our chat and waiting to do stuff. So now we're going to do the stuff. Most of what we are going to do is listed under actions and queues, specifically under action. So this is where we're going to be working in. This is where we're going to be working in for the most part. And I gotta explain to you a couple things as to how Streamer.Bot structures how it works. And once that makes sense to you, you'll be able to do whatever you want in the bot. So where do we start? We start with an action. So this big left pane here. We're gonna click add. This is an action. Don't worry about any of this other stuff right now. So we made an action, cool. An action that does nothing. What is an action comprised of? An action is comprised of two things. A trigger and a sub-action. A trigger is the when of the action. It's the when do I do the thing? Is it do I wait and listen for like a chat command? Do I wait and listen for like a channel point redeem? Maybe I want like something to happen when someone raids me, so it's listening for a raid. A raid would be a trigger. A trigger is what causes your action to actually happen. And then the sub-action is the what. So what happens when the trigger gets triggered, you know? What happens? It's the effect. If the trigger is the cause, the sub-action is the effect. So for example, if I wanted a trigger that happens when, I don't know, when anybody sends a chat message, right? So we'll go, we'll right click here, click add, and then we'll have a whole lot of things we can pick from. We're going to go into Twitch, then we're going to go into chat, and then we're going to go into chat message. So basically what this is whenever someone sends a chat message now, this action is going to trigger. It's going to do nothing because we have nothing in the sub-actions, but it will trigger and do nothing for now. So right now, everything you guys have said since I've put this here has actually been triggering this action. So if you look at action history, you can see that you guys, like, every time you've said something, something has popped up here. It's just that I haven't told it to do anything with that information. So it's a big load of nothing is happening, but nothing is still happening. What a weird way to put that, but I hope that made sense. What we do with that information is what we do in the sub action. So, for example, if this is going to be really annoying for you guys, but if every time you write any chat message, I want my bot to reply to you and be like, yo. So we're going to right click in the sub action area here. We're going to right click here. We're going to click add. And then we're going to, again, we want to do it on Twitch. Where do we want to do it? Twitch. In Twitch, we're going to go to chat. Oh, you guys can't see me. Hold on. We're going to Twitch, chat, and then reply to message. It's going to pop up with a window. This window, reply to message ID, leave that as it is. Don't worry about that. But the message is what it's actually going to send. So if I wanted to say back to yo every time you have a chat message, I'm going to write the word yo in here. We'll get to variables. There are a bunch of variables that it presets for you, but we'll get into that later. Just the basics for now. Yo. Click OK. Now the next time someone types a chat message, and forevermore, it's going to say yo back to them. Say something in chat and you'll see. I'm already... Well, there you go. And see, I've actually created an infinite loop because it's replying to itself as well. Like, isn't that crazy? Right? So we're just going to delete it so it stops doing that. But, again, so it doesn't exempt itself from the chat message, right? Like, any chat message, it will reply to. Anyway, so that's a trigger, that's a sub action. A trigger and a sub action all go into an action. The cool thing about actions, you can set them to go into different queues. We're not going to worry too much about queues right now. But what you need to know is that, excuse me, if you want to have separate queues for separate things like your chat messages versus like shoutouts versus like sound effects so they don't all play over top of each other or are blocked by each other, then that is possible within Streamer.Bot, and we can dive into that later. The basic triggers that you will probably use the most often are commands, which we will talk about in a second here. You can do it based off of channel point redeems, which we will also talk about in a second. You could do it based off of Twitch events. So this is like, you know, follows, subs, resubs, raids, hype train, like a hype train starting, a hype train leveling up, a hype train ending, ads starting. But just bear in mind that like the API or whatever that they use for ads for some reason tends to be inaccurate sometimes. So you might get, if you want to have something that's like, hey, an ad is starting, but the ad might have started like 10 seconds ago before the bot actually gets that message. Or anything that basically, like, almost anything Twitch related, even like emote pyramids. Like, or if you started a prediction, you can get your bot to do something in chat, or show something, or do whatever. If you're starting a raid, then you can have it do something. If you've hit your community goal, literally anything in this list is a trigger. You can use it to trigger anything. You can even have a trigger if someone whispers your bot, right? If that's something you care about, or if you switch emote mode or follower mode or slow mode or unique mode or whatever. Those are the Twitch events that you can base your commands on. Okay, sweet. Let's make a command. We're gonna go into commands. You can do, there's a faster way to do this, but again, as beginners, we're going to do it the long way so we understand how it works, and then we can do it the fast way later. So this is our big list of commands. It's a big empty list of nothing. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go right click and add, like we do in most things when we want to add things in this bot, and it gives you this big ol' window. There's a number of settings we want to set. So the name up here, again, like the group and the category and all that, the name's just for you to understand what you have made. It's a title that only you see. So I'll call this, I don't know, Discord command. The mode is, we're going to keep it normal. You can set it to regex if you want, and that'll, if you know what regex is, you can use regex to parse the command if you want. Now, under the commands box, this is where you actually set what people put in chat to trigger the command. So you can go like !Discord, for instance. You don't have to have the exclamation mark. You can do like @Discord if you want. You could do, like star Discord. In fact, I could even do like !Disc, for example, if I want people to, if I want to work on both !Discord and !Disc. like the commands, you can group them. So let's say, I don't know, let's call it chat commands. Okay. Now for permissions, by default, everybody can do the command. If you want it so that, like, for example, only your mods can do the command, then you take moderators from available, and then you click on this right arrow here to move them to allow. So now only mods can use this command. If the allowed box is empty, that means everybody. If there's even one thing in the allowed box, then only the people in the allowed box can do it. So for example, if I have VIPs in here, only VIPs can do this command. Not even mods can do it, only VIP. If I wanted both of them to be able to do it, I'd have to move both of them over to this allowed box. Hope that makes sense. Again, if you have questions, let me know. Under options, you can set it to do a couple things, like ignore itself. So like we had the infinite loop earlier, this helps avoid that. Ignore internal messages. I'm not 100% sure what that does, but I think that has to do with the like bot logs. Either way, I don't touch it. I just leave it as default. You can make it case sensitive if you want. So now if someone types an ! Discord with a capital D, it wouldn't work. But if that's off, then it's fair game. That's under options. Cooldowns, I think this makes sense to most people once you look at it, but there's a global cooldown. So this means a cooldown between the, like, if Nerf ran the command, you'd have to wait 10 seconds before anybody else could run it. Whereas a user cooldown means that if Nerf runs the command, then Rolkus could also run the command like right after, but then they both have to wait 10 seconds before they specifically could redo the command themselves. It's a per user countdown. And then sources, I mean, there's not much we need to worry about here, but you can change, like if you want it to make it so that people have to DM your bot or whisper your bot on Twitch to do the command, then you could do it here. Twitch shared chat may be the one you care about. So right now, these commands will only work in your own chat, even if it's a shared chat. If you check off Twitch shared chat, then they'll work even if you're in the shared chat with someone else. Generally speaking, 99% of the time, you just keep these all as the default. Once that's all done, we can click OK. And then you see our command here, the name that we gave it, and then the commands that actually trigger it. But right now, that does nothing. We have no action set up to consume this. We have no action set up to do anything with this command. So that's what we're going to do next. So we've set up the command. It exists. Nothing happens yet, but it's there. So now we go back to actions, and we're going to create a new action. So right click on the left side here, add, and we're going to call it, I don't know, Discord link. All right, and then we can make a separate group for it. We'll call it, I don't know, chat command response or something. Doesn't matter. Leave all these as default. Don't need to worry about it right now. Click OK. And you can see it created a new category for us, created a new action called Discord. And we have an empty trigger and empty sub action. So in the triggers, we want to trigger this. How do we want to trigger this? We want to trigger it when someone writes the ! Discord or ! Discord. Exactly. So we go into add. We go into, for this one, we're actually, you may think Twitch, but we're actually going to go into core because commands are a core feature and function of the bot. They're not actually Twitch related, they're bot related. So we go into core, we go into commands, and then command trigger. Okay? Now it's going to ask us, hey, well, what command? Do you want this to run when anybody does any possible command that you've made? Well, no. We want to do it when they do the Discord command. So we're going to click and select the Discord command. Click OK. Hi, Queen. And that's it. We click OK. So now this action will trigger whenever someone does !Discord or !Disc in our chat. What will it do? Right now, it will do nothing because we haven't set anything in the sub action. We haven't actually told it to do anything. We just said, hey, listen for !Discord, but that's it. So now we're going to tell it what to do. I want the command to reply to whoever triggered it and give them the link to my Discord. So we can either go through the right-click method that I've been showing thus far, or both of these boxes actually have search boxes at the top there that we can search for the specific trigger or sub action if we know what it's called. So I want Twitch to reply to the person who triggered this command. So I'm going to type in reply. And you'll see there's two options. There's one for Kick, there's one for Twitch. So we're going to pick the one for Twitch. And again, this will pop up like I showed you earlier. And again, leave the reply ID what it is. What this is saying, by the way, is it's asking for the ID of the message in chat that it wants to reply to. By default, it's already preset to whoever triggered the command. So you don't need to do anything there. It's done for you. So you can leave that. And in the message, you can say, hey, join my Discord at this, brofar.tv/Discord, which is actually what will link to my real life Discord. Well, real life Discord, you know what I mean. Click OK. It's done. It works immediately. As soon as you hit OK there, now from this point on, if someone does !Discord or !Disc in my chat, exactly, Nerf. It should reply with what I told it to reply to. And that's it. We've made our first command. Congratulations. It's as simple as that. Especially for chat commands, that's all you need to do. You make the command here so that Streamer.Bot knows what to look for. Then you make the action that you tell it to listen for the command and then do something with that information. That's it. 1, 2, 3, and you're done. Cool? Let's try something else. Let's try... Let's try making it a little bit more personal. Yeah? So the way Streamer.Bot handles variables is with percent symbols. So if I go percent symbol, and bear in mind this might not work, username, percent symbol. So what this is saying is, when I reply, replace all of this with the username of whoever triggered the command. So you shouldn't, if I got this right, you shouldn't see, hey, percent username percent. You should actually see, hey, Nefarious, or hey, Wendigo, or hey, Salty Morbs, join my Discord server. Or if you want to make it like a Twitch username style, you have to add an @ symbol in front of it. The @ symbol isn't anything special. I'm literally just adding an @ symbol before it puts in the username. And then it'll actually tag you properly like it would in a Twitch message, chat message, whatever. So that's like a basic command response. What if we want to do something based on, I don't know, channel point redeem? Well, it gets a bit tricky with Streamer.Bot. So with channel point redeems, Streamer.Bot actually needs to be able to manage your redeems. And the only way it can do that is if you've created the redeem in Streamer.Bot itself. So that means anything that you currently have as channel point redeems before you start using the bot, some of the features will not be available unless you recreate that redeem in the bot itself and then delete it from Twitch. Well, delete the old one from Twitch. They make it easy to do this, save for like one thing, which is the image. So if we go into platforms, Twitch, and then channel point rewards up here, you'll see these are all my channel point rewards, and they're all currently disabled because I'm not running my actual bot in the stream, so none of them would have worked anyway. But you'll notice that in the owned column, all of them say yes. That means they have been created inside Streamer.Bot, and you have full feature set of Streamer.Bot and channel points available for those specific redeems. You don't need to recreate every one of your redeems. You only need to recreate the ones that you want Streamer.Bot to do something. The way you can do that, by the way, easily, is you just right-click on one of your existing ones, which will all be displayed here. It'll just say no under owned, and you'll just go duplicate, and you'll see that it's created a copy of it. The only thing is it won't copy image for the redeem. So once you're done here, you actually have to go back into your Twitch dashboard and re-upload the image that you want for that specific redeem. And while you're at it, you can also delete the old one, because I don't think you can delete the old one from Streamer.Bot since it doesn't own the redeem itself. Sounds really complex, but the TLDR is if you want Streamer.Bot to do a thing with channel point redeems, the redeems that you want it to handle have to be made within the bot, which will then go to Twitch. So let's make a redeem. Let's make, I don't know, create a reward. We'll call it random. It's not going to really be random. We'll go sound effect. Cool, and it's going to play a sound effect on Brofar's stream. So the reward name is what it's going to be like in the when you click the channel points menu, and then when you click into it to actually redeem it, the description is what appears kind of under that before you hit the final redeem button there. Background color, we'll pick something random. That's going to be the color of the box. The cost, how many channel points? I don't know, 200, whatever. You can set how many redemptions per stream. So like the command cooldowns, and if you're... Man, my throat is dry. If you're familiar with how cooldowns work with Twitch, this is the exact same thing with channel point redeems. So you can either have a maximum number of redeems per stream overall, or a maximum number of redeems per user per stream. And then you can also set a cooldown. So it can only, you know, like Sass's YouTube redeem, where it can only be redeemed like once every 7 minutes or whatever. We don't need to really, well, let's call it demo. We're gonna group it. The group doesn't actually affect Twitch, it's just for your own purposes. So right now, if all of you click on, well, there you go. Lavathas got it. So it's immediately available, it just currently does nothing. All we've done is we set up the redeem. We haven't set up Streamer.Bot to actually do anything yet, which we will do now. So again, if we want Streamer.Bot to handle what it does when something gets triggered, we create an action. So back to actions, right click, add. We're gonna say, I don't know, let's call it sound effect, just to keep it simple. Under group, I'm gonna say channel point redeems, just to make it organized for myself. I am both satisfied and disappointed by the lack of sound. Perfect. Cool, so now we have a new category, channel point redeems. We open it up, we get sound effect in it. How do we want it to trigger? What needs to happen for this action to do its thing? Well, it's gonna be the channel point redeem that we just created. So we go add, Twitch. They call it something weird. I think it's like rewards. Channel reward, reward redemption. Which reward? We're gonna... Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? It's gonna be... Actually, where is it, though? The sound effect. My mouse is literally on it. I'm just blind. Oh my god. It's gonna be sound effect. Now, when I was talking about shortcuts earlier, both the command and the reward channel point redemption dialog boxes let you create one right within the dialogue itself. The mouse is covering it, to be fair. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the grace. So if you wanted, you could just create the reward right within here to be fast. I just wanted to show you the original way of doing it before we got the shortcut. So click OK. So now we have an action. It's listening for the channel point redeem. What do we want it to do? Whoa, I'm so sorry. What do we want it to do? We want it to play a sound effect, like what it says, right? So we go right click, add. This one's going to be in core again. Sounds, play sound. Here we go. Cool. So I'm going to pick a sound from my desktop. Bam! File path is fine. I don't care if you guys see that. You can name it whatever you want, or you can just leave it empty. It doesn't matter. You can hit test. And now click OK. So now when someone redeems the sound effect channel point redemption, you are going to hear a sound be played in my stream. Bearing in mind, I should put a cooldown on that. Bearing in mind that to do so, very importantly, you also need to have the source in your OBS. So what I do is I go application audio capture, and then I pick the Streamer.Bot exe, and then that way it pops up. I already have it here though. It pops up under Streamer.Bot audio for me, and then you can set the levels and all that. Another thing you can do, or another thing you should know about, is we're not limited to just one thing in this section. You can chain commands. So you can go, like, you have it play sound, then you can have it send a chat message. So let's go, I don't know, chat message, send message to chat. Yeah, we're gonna send a message to Twitch, and we're gonna be like, %user, which again is the variable that will be replaced by whatever the person's name is who redeemed the channel point. Made noises, I don't know. So now it'll do both of those things. Okay, before we go on, I am gonna put a cooldown on it because I know you, loud and fast. I know you. So we're gonna go in here, channel point rewards, we're gonna click sound effect. We're gonna put a cooldown of 600 seconds, which is 10 minutes. That's it. That's 2 commands. Said and done. Ain't that cool? Gotta get them in while I can now. Yeah. I hope that all made sense. We can do a couple other things. So here's a couple things that I have on my own bot. So I have a action that runs such that when I stop or when I raid out, it automatically stops my OBS. So this is just so, you know, I don't accidentally raid and forget to stop stream. To do that, we're going to just create another action. We're going to go stop OBS when raid or whatever, right? And we're going to go call this on automatic actions. Again, the group, you can name it wherever the hell you want. Okay, so for this one, we're going to check a couple of things here. We're going to check always run, which means that we haven't gotten into queues, but you can pause queues. But this is something that I want to happen even if the queue is paused, because there's no reason for me to delay this happening or for it to wait for something else or whatever. I always want it to stop streaming when I raid out, no matter what else is going on. So that's why always run is on. If always run was off and we paused the queue, it would queue up, but it wouldn't actually do the thing until we unpaused that queue. It's a lot of words. Don't worry too much about it. This is more just a safety thing for when you get more advanced later. Let's turn always run on for this specific thing. Cool. So we're in the action. In the trigger, what we're going to do is we're actually going to add a trigger that's based on OBS this time. So we're not going to Twitch. We're going to OBS Studio. Stopped. Oh my God. No, we are going to go to Twitch. I got confused. We're going to go to Twitch. We're going to go to Raid. And then this might be a little confusing, so I'll explain these 4 options. So raid on its own means when you receive a raid. It means when someone else has raided your channel. Raid start is when I type /raid whoever in my chat and like the raid countdown is happening. That means we have started the raid, but the raid hasn't been sent off yet. You're still here with me. We've started it, but it's not complete. Raid send is when I actually, like, the raid happens. So when I click the button or when the timer runs out and we all jump into someone else's channel, that's raid sent. That's when that triggers. And then raid canceled is when, if I do like /raid whoever, and I'm like, oh no, you know what? I don't actually want to raid them, and I cancel that raid. That's raid canceled. So in this case, because we want our action to stop our stream when we send a raid to someone else, we're going to trigger it on raid send. What are we going to do when we send the raid? Well, we're going to stop streaming. So we're going to go right click here. We're going to go add. Now we're going to go to OBS Studio. And then we are going to do, I think it's streaming. Yeah, streaming. So for connection, we're going to use default, which is just our OBS, because we only have the one OBS. If you have multiple OBS instances for whatever reason, this is where you would pick that. But for 99% of you, leave it as default. It's fine. And then the state, we're going to stop streaming. I'm not going to hit test because it's going to kill my stream, but we're going to stop streaming. We hit OK. That's it. So now we're done. This is it. There's nothing else we need to do. And it's completely automatic. When we send the raid, OBS will stop the stream. I don't need to click the stop streaming button anymore. It'll automatically happen when I raid out. Obviously, if I need to stop the stream for other reasons, I will need to click stop streaming myself. But on a raid, automatic, don't need to worry about accidentally leaving stream running again. Obviously, I want to verify because Streamer.Bot may not always work. Or if I quit Streamer.Bot before we end the raid, or before we send the raid, then obviously it won't be running to do the thing. But if everything is working out great and everything is normal, then when we raid out, OBS will stop. What else can we do? What else can we do? Okay, well, let's say, I don't know. Here's something I've heard of. A lot of folks, not a lot of folks, but a few folks have wanted something where, like, you do a command or you say something in chat and it responds randomly from a list of preset like whatevers, right? So it's easier than you think to do in Streamer.Bot. So let's create a new action. Let's call it, I don't know. Let's call it lurk. Let's say I wanted to say something random to you when you do !lurk. So we're going to put a couple things together. And we are going to set it to random action. I will tell you what this does in a second. I'm just going to switch this over to chat command redeems. Okay, cool. When that random action is checked, what that does is in this list of sub actions that we have, we could put like 5, 10, 15 different sub actions here. Normally, it would execute them one by one after each other. When we have random turned on, out of that entire list, it's going to pick one of them randomly and do that. It's not going to do anything else. It's just going to pick one random sub action that you've set in that overall action. It's going to do that instead of doing all of the actions sequentially. So, I want this to trigger when someone does !lurk in my channel. So we're going to add a trigger. We want it to trigger on a command. So we're going to go command trigger, set your command trigger. We haven't made the command, so we're going to do it the fast way. Create command here. Pops up the same familiar window. We're going to call it lurk. Mode normal is fine. Commands !lurk. Group, chat commands, whatever. All these we're going to leave as the defaults. Don't worry about them unless you really want to set a cooldown and stuff. Again, we're going to set the permissions all as default. Again, remember that if allowed is empty, everybody can use it. If allowed has even one thing in it, then only the people in this list can use it. So the whitelist only kicks in if there's something in it. But for now, we're going to let everybody do it. It's going to trigger on !lurk. We called it lurk. No one's going to see this. It's just for my purposes. Click OK. And look, it's already made. It's already selected. Click OK. Done. So now we need to decide, you know, like what do we want it to reply with? Well, I need to make like a list of things. It's probably going to be a short list for the purposes of this, but a list nonetheless. So I want it to reply to the person and say, I don't know, thanks for the lurk. That's one option, right? Now I could do that again. I could go search for reply. I could click it, have it pop up, or I could just right click this and go duplicate sub action. It'll make a second one. I just double click on that and say, yo, no worries. See you around. And then duplicate it again and go, damn it, why don't you love me? And then maybe one more. We'll go, I cry every time. Cool. So, we've already selected that this is random action. Let me turn this, well, there you go. Morbs, look at that. So you do !lurk, and then it picked randomly. So it said, damn it, why don't you love me? Notice how it didn't say anything else. It only picked one of the 4, did that, and we were done. If I turn off random action, though, and someone does !lurk, it's going to send all 4 of those back to back. Because we didn't tell it to do one random action, and by default, it will go down this list like a to-do list, from top to bottom. So if someone does !lurk now, you'll see that it's going to reply to you with all 4 of the messages. Well, look at that. So that's the difference between random action being off and random action being on. When it's on, it picks one thing from that list randomly. When it's off, it does everything on the list from top to bottom. One thing we haven't talked about, which is a feature in many other bots that Streamer.Bot also has, we just haven't talked about it yet, are timers. So timers are literally that. So you could set one for 30 seconds. You could set one to go off every 100 chat messages, whatever. And then something happens when that timer cycles, right? So in Streamer.Bot, bam. So over here under services, you'll see it on the left. You can also see it here. We can click on timers. So in timers, you can right click, go add, and you can set up a timer. You can set up a basic one, so I don't know, one every like 15 minutes, for example, and then that is 900 seconds. So the interval is the amount of time between the timer going off. Lines is how many chat messages in your Twitch chat or in your whatever chat, if you're on YouTube or Kick or whatever, between messages. So if we have both set, so every 15 minutes and every 10 lines, both of those criteria have to be met before the timer triggers. So if it's been 15 minutes, but only 5 people have talked in my chat for those 15 minutes, then the timer's not going to trigger. But if it's been 15 minutes and like 50 people have talked in my chat, then yes, it will. You can also set it to like nothing here and, well, 0, I guess, and a number for the chat lines. And this means the timer's going to run, or it's going to trigger every 10th message in chat. It's only going to care about how many chats there have been in between the last time it triggered. Similarly, if you only set like a timer here, so 600 is 10 minutes, it'll happen every 10 minutes regardless of whether or not people have chatted. So for example, if you have something like you periodically remind people of your Discord server or your YouTube channel or whatever, but you don't have a lot of chatters, you're not anticipating having a lot of chatters that day, and you don't want it to just be like back-to-back messages of just your bot in your chat, you can set it for like however long you want it to be, like 300 seconds, so 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes I want it to tell people about my Discord, but also like, 30 chat messages. So if there have been fewer than 30 chat messages in my channel and it's been the 5 minutes, well, it's not going to just remind nobody that my Discord exists. But if chat has been active, then yeah, this is a great time to remind people that my Discord exists, right? So we'll set it to, I don't know, we'll set it to 30 seconds and 5 lines just for illustrative purposes here. Well, let's set it to 0 lines for now, just to give you an idea. So every 30 seconds, this is going to trigger. Let's change this name. The name doesn't matter, it's just for your purposes, but make sure we set it to enabled. And I think we want to set it to repeat, because otherwise it's only going to happen once. Random interval is set for... I can't think of a use case off the top of my head, but I'll tell you how it works. If you set it to like 30 to 45, what it will do is it will pick randomly between 30 and 45 seconds. So it could be 31 seconds the first time, 38 seconds the second time, 45 seconds the third time, 30 seconds the fourth time, so on and so forth. It'll do it randomly between these two times. But we don't care about that right now. So click OK. So now we have a timer, it's running. The timer's already running, it's just we have nothing set to do anything with it. Where do we set that? Well, like everything else, we go to Actions. Now, for this one, I will show you something kind of interesting. So let's say I wanted it to be my Discord link or whatever, right? I could create a second command, a second action to have it give you my Discord, or I could just use this one that I've already made. We may need to change a couple things in the sub actions because when a timer goes off, you can't reply to anybody. So first and foremost, we're going to change this reply to send a message. So send a chat message. Actually, wait. We'll copy this first, just to be lazy. Send a chat message to channel. We'll paste this. We're going to take out the user because, again, when a timer goes off, there's no user. So this is just it's gonna not really look great. So we're gonna delete all that. We're just gonna say, hey, join my Discord. Here's my Discord. Okay, cool. Join my Discord, right? I'm gonna delete the old one. Sweet. So now this has changed. So we can do !Discord now, or disc, and you'll see that the chat message has now changed to just join my Discord at profar.tv/discord. That's this trigger. We're gonna set a second trigger. Remember, we can set multiple triggers, and if any of them go off, it's gonna do, I guess it's over there, the sub action. So we can go through here, and try to find it in core, timers, so on and so forth, or we can just go timer. Timed actions? Yes. Timed actions. Which timer? Obviously the 30-second timer that we did. So now you'll see it every 30 seconds, which is going to be very annoying for a little bit. It should say, hey, join my Discord at profar.tv/discord. Wait for it. No. There you go. Hey, there it is, right? Last example, I think, before we move on, is a semi-popular one of like a mute me redeem. So we're going to create an action. We'll do everything the short and fast way to give you kind of like the practical way of doing it, right? So we'll go add an action. We'll go mute me. This is going to be a channel point redeem. All of this can be set as default. The trigger, we're going to do a channel point redeem. I think it's reward, right? Reward redemption. We're going to create a reward because it doesn't already exist. We're going to call it mute me. Mute me. Mute bro for, I don't know, 5 seconds. We're going to make it cost, I don't know, for this, 500. But we're going to make the cooldown massive. And we can set the group to demo, sure. Sweet. So now the redemption is made, currently does nothing. So what do we want it to do? I want it to mute me in OBS. What does that mean? What that really means in OBS is I want it to turn off the mic source. So if I do this, you're not going to hear me, see? And I only wanted to do it for a certain amount of time. So we're going to talk about delays as well. So first things first. We're going to go add. Where do we want to do it? OBS Studio. We're going to switch it to, or we're going to choose source because it's an audio source. Makes sense? Yeah. And then there's two options here. We can set the source mute state or the source visibility state. In the case of an audio source, these two are effectively the same thing. If it wasn't an audio source and it was something like a browser source or a video source, the mute state deals with the audio and the visibility state deals with like the whole source itself turning on and off. So if the visibility is off, you can't see it, you can't hear it. If the mute state is off, like if it's muted, sorry, if it's on, I guess, if it's muted, then you can still see it, but you can't hear it when it comes to a source that has video. But with a pure audio source, these are effectively the same. It's whether it, I'll show you here. It's whether you're turning the eyeball off, which is the visibility state, or you're turning this little speaker off, which is the mute state. Does that make sense? Let's do the mute state, just to keep it proper. So we're gonna go to add OBS Studio, sources, set source mute state, and it's gonna ask you a number of things. Number one, it's gonna ask you what connection to OBS. Well, we only have one OBS, so we're gonna leave it as the default. It's gonna ask you what scene. So this gets kind of weird when you swap scenes. There's a way to get around that. It's a little bit more advanced, so we're not gonna cover it right this second. Normally people only really use mute me in your just chatting or your gaming scenes, so you could do it twice for that. I'll show you how to do that. And then that would be enough to kind of get you by for now. So the source right now, we're gonna pick, what is it? Live desktop and stream audio. And then the source is gonna be my mic. And then we're gonna set it to muted, right? So if I hit test, it should mute me. And now if I test not muted, you should hear me again. So we're gonna set it to muted, cool. Now, if I wanted to do this for another scene as well, to just cover both cases, I would just hit this, right click, duplicate, go in here, and I would switch it to like my just chatting. And then I would mute it there as well. So now it's muted in both. Now, the crux of this is that I want you to mute me for a certain amount of time. I don't want you to mute me forever, right? So what we're gonna do is there's a special built-in command already. There's no special coding or anything needed. You go right click, add core delay. So what this is going to do is you're going to do the first two things, and then when it hits delay, it's going to stop. It's going to wait for however much you say here before it does everything else. So we want it to mute me for 5 seconds. The delay value is in milliseconds. So what is 5 seconds in milliseconds? It's 5,000 milliseconds. You can, like the timers, you can set it to be random, so it can be 5 to 10 seconds, for example. You can also set it to be a variable, so if you want like them to be able to specify, but that gets into weird territory of having to make sure they put in a number, right? So we're not going to go too deep with that right now. So turn random off, 5,000 milliseconds or 5 seconds. It's going to wait. And then we want to unmute ourselves afterwards, right? We want to, after the 5 seconds, we want to come back. So we could go right click OBS, toggle mute state, and set it to unmuted, or we can just take these two We could duplicate them. Duplicate one twice, duplicate both, or whatever. Double click on them and switch it from muted to not muted. So now, if anybody wants to redeem that, you're going to mute me for 5 seconds, and then you're going to unmute me. However, you can do that now if you want, but we're also going to do something really quick as well on top of that, is we're going to have some kind of like on-screen indicator. So I'm going to make a new source in OBS, here, text, and I'm going to call it, I don't know, muted, right? And that's going to be like, lol muted, sure, right? And we're going to put it here, but we're going to turn it off. We're going to drag it, just for my purposes, under that stuff. Well, maybe one more. That's all we need to do there. And now, in Streamer.Bot, we're going to, when we're muted, we're going to turn the source on, and then when we're unmuted, we're going to turn it off. So this is where source visibility is taken. So go right-click, add, OBS Studio, sources, set source visibility state, the connection default. We're going to choose this source because that's where it is. There's a whole thing we could do with nested sources to make it easier for you in the future, but again, beginner mode. So we're going to go into our live source. We're going to set the muted source to visible. And if I test it, it should turn on. And if I hide it, it should turn off, right? Oh, whoops. I should turn it to on. Put that up here before the delay, obviously, because I want it to show up before we wait, before we pause for the 5 seconds. And then we're going to duplicate it for afterwards to turn off. Okay, so what does this do in effect? Well, let's go line by line. So first thing it does is it's going to mute my mic on this scene, my live desktop scene. Second thing it's going to do, it's going to mute my mic on just chatting in case I switch scenes. Then it's going to turn on the lol muted text on this scene. Then it's going to wait for 5 seconds. So all of that's going to stay, and it's going to wait for 5 seconds before it does anything else. Because we set the redeem to mute me for 5 seconds, right? You can set this to whatever time you want. After those 5 seconds are elapsed, it's going to unmute me on both of the scenes, and then it's going to turn off the lol muted text that we just created as well. So if someone in chat wants to test it, go ahead. Otherwise, I can test it on my end. So we go into our list, we click on mute me. After 5 seconds have passed, you can hear me again. Look at that. That's pretty much it for the basics of Streamer.Bot. I went through a couple examples. I'm sure it got pretty long, but that's okay. The only other thing we're going to cover is importing and exporting. There's a lot of great commands out there. You got to be really careful when you use other people's commands because they can do some stuff that could like really mess up your whole PC to what they were actually doing. So be very, very careful with importing other people's commands and stuff. It is doable. It is possible. I will go through it, but you need to make sure that you are being safe. You can also export your commands to send to your friends. If someone's like, hey, you have this really cool command, you're like, oh yeah, I'll just send you what I did, right? So we'll go over exporting first. So my lurk action, for example. Let's say someone's like, yo, Brofar, I really want that lurk action where you randomly send 4 random chat messages to people. You right-click it, and you go add to export. You go add to export, click export up here to bring up your whole export window or whatever. You can see that the chat command is in here. Give it a name, like Brofar, Brofar's lurk command, or whatever. Author Brofar version, doesn't matter. You can set a description if you want. You can see that it's exporting an action and the command, right? So click export to clipboard if you want. You can export to file as well. Clipboard is like your copy paste. So right now it's in my copy paste, my clipboard, and if I paste it somewhere, you'll see a long string. I can't even paste it in Twitch because it's so long. A long string of letters that's base64 encoded. You don't need to know that, it's okay. And then you send that code to someone else, and you can get them to import this, which we're going to go over now. So this is the code. This is the code that it exported. It's a bunch of gobbledygook, and that's okay. Do you want to clear your export? Yes. I want to clear everything here in case I want to export something later. I don't want to include the lurk command. So it just resets the export to the usual. And we're done. We've exported our command. We can now send this to our friends. What do our friends do when they get this code, though? So, all they need to do, honestly, it's quite easy. You click import up here, and it's just a big text box. So what do you do with that text box? You just paste the big string of code that you got, or that you were sent, and you see that it automatically actually looked at it and parsed it and saw what it was. So you can see it says Brofar's lurk command, author Brofar, Streamer.Bot version, yada yada yada. And it's importing, make sure to double check this, but it's importing an action and it's importing a command, right? It's importing these two things. Click import. There are two items that will be over, oh yeah, sorry, hold on. Let me delete my lurk command so you can see how it actually works. So let's delete it from there, and let's delete it from our commands as well. Cool. Okay, now we're gonna import it like as though we never had it. So let's go copy, we're gonna go import, we're gonna paste it here, right? Click import. The commands that are being imported will be set to disabled. Be sure to edit them to enable them and set inputs. Okay, so by default, not the actions will be enabled, but the commands will be disabled. So if we click OK, you'll see that the action is here, it's working. It's not disabled. If it was disabled, it would be red, but it's not. It comes in as enabled. You can see that the trigger is here. You can see the messages are all here. It imported exactly like we had it, right? However, in action or in commands, you'll see that it comes in disabled by default. This is just a safety thing. So in case you're importing something that can truly mess up your stream or really annoy you, it starts as disabled so that you can go into it and set permissions if you want, or change whatever you want here before turning it on. So it doesn't come and like it's already set up, so someone someone can come and be like, hey, add my command, you add it, and then it's a secret command that like backdoors into your computer or like messes up your stream or doxes you or whatever. It's set up so you take a look at it first before it does the thing. And that's the idea. So then once you're satisfied with that, you enable it, click OK, and then literally it just works out the box after that. You click !lurk, it works. Easy peasy. And that's it. That's all we're going to cover for today. So we covered downloading Streamer.Bot, we covered logging into Twitch, connecting OBS, we connected our Stream Deck, we talked about triggers, we talked about sub actions, we talked about timers. We went over a number of examples of how to implement actions. You may want to make yours a little more organized than mine, perhaps, but we did go over a number of examples. We went over importing, went over exporting. So now you should be able to do most of the basics in Streamer.Bot. The only thing I will leave you with is knowing that if you add more integrations and stuff, they will usually appear under this admin. So you can see that I have Elgato here and then Stream Deck. So you can set, like when your Stream Deck connects to something. Within the Stream Deck itself, you have an action button you could set up. You drag it in, and then you actually in Stream Deck tell it what action to do in Streamer.Bot. So like, for example, I can make this button do mute me, right? Mute me corresponds to mute me here, right? So even though it's not in the triggers, Streamer.Bot will trigger it directly if you wanted a Streamer.Bot button. And obviously you can set a title, whatever you want, right? I hope this was informative. I hope you got something out of it. We're gonna raid Sass because it's her birthday. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for asking questions. I hope it was useful. And I will hopefully see you next Tuesday for actual games. Sure, Brofar said it's her birthday, eat cake. Copy and paste that. Thanks, Mookie. I will catch y'all over on Sass's stream, and hopefully if this bot works, I will stop streaming the moment I raid out, right? See y'all over there. Love you. Thanks. See you on a week from today. Bye.